Mike. My guest today, he's an author. He's an actor, athlete. You've seen him conquer the ring. He's currently conquering the stage as lead singer of Fozzy. There's plenty of other accolades, I'm sure, to add in that. I think the only thing left is probably president. What do you think? Chris Jericho, 2024? How about that?
Well, I'm a dual citizen, so I could technically be the first ever undisputed ruler of North America. I'll become the president and the prime minister at the same time. How's that? Hold my beer.
You're the only one that I think could handle that responsibility.
I could do it.
That's a lot. I
could do it.
Speaking of beer, Canadian beer or American beer? I mean,
I honestly haven't had a beer in about 12 years. I stopped drinking beer and switched to vodka. So yeah, that was a smart move. But when I was drinking beer, American beer was a little bit better because obviously there's a lot less alcohol in it. So you can kind of go through those beers a little bit quicker and they're not as stout. I think Canadian beer is stouter if you want to start talking about beer. So I would go with American, but I literally haven't had a beer in 12 years. There you go. There's your headline.
Yeah, you got to watch the carbs, you know. You're getting older, you got to stay fit, you know.
Yeah, I did go through. Actually, it's pretty funny. James Hetfield and I did the caveman diet together. It was kind of a earlier version of paleo diet. And I just thought, well, I'm just going to stop drinking beer and whiskey. I'll just start drinking vodka because it's clear. So there's obviously no calories in that, right? Turns out I was wrong. There's still calories in vodka, almost as much as there is in beer anyways, but at least the intentions were good.
It's right. It's all about what you're putting into it. That's all.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, we'll talk more about your presidential prime minister takeover, overlord North America here a little bit. But first, let's get into Fozzy, man. And we're going to talk about the new album, but I just want to you're probably aware, you started this band really in 1999, first album in 2000. Now here we are over 2 decades, 8 studio albums later. That's got to make you step back a little bit, Chris.
Yeah, it's really cool because, I mean, you know, and anyone that knows my story, and for those who don't, is that I've always played in bands. I've been playing in bands since junior high school, since I was 13 years old. And I always wanted to play in a band and be a wrestler. And we started Fozzy in 2000, kind of almost under different circumstances. But over the last 5 or 6 years, ever since we started getting played on rock radio, the band has basically gone through the roof. And I never realized how important rock radio was still until we started getting played on radio. And you realize it means the world. But you don't get played on radio just because you want to be on radio. It's very hard, as you know, to get a single added and to get some steam in radio. It's virtually impossible because there's so many heavy hitters. But here we are now. I mean, I Still Burn just it cracked the top 25. That's our 6th consecutive top 25 single. And it's also our fastest single to crack the top 25. So we now have a little bit of radio history. So when a new Fozzy song comes out, well, let's give it a little bit of a shove and see what it does. And that's kind of reflected on our live shows, on, you know, the sales of the band, on the perception of the band. So it's gone through the roof over the last few years. And it's been really, really cool to see the evolution of the bands because the longevity is there, but the intensity and the growth of the band is bigger now than it's ever been. And there's not a lot of bands that are bigger after 20 years than they were earlier in their career. So we're late bloomers. And we're growers, not showers, but we're really starting to show now. Strong really like bull.
There you go. Do you think, and not that you're the kind of guy that really goes into anything half-assed. I wouldn't put that on you. But do you think maybe where you're at now and seeing that success, seeing that rise, is it more serious in the later albums of it as opposed to maybe when you first started? Was it more in 99, 2000? I just want to have some fun, get on stage. And now that growth, has that changed your mindset maybe a little bit?
I think almost any band would tell you that. If you go to, Metallica, the biggest rock band in the world, or AC/DC, I mean, they all started playing covers just like we did. It's just that our earlier albums were mostly covers. And it was just kind of like, holy smokes, like somebody wants to sign this band. Well, let's do it. And then in about 2010, Rich Ward and I said, let's take this as far as we can. Let's make this our priority and really go for it. And that's when you could really see, because we're both very driven. And, we have had to work twice as hard for people's respect, solely because I'm in the band. I mean, that's sorry, I also wrestle, but I think, every band has a gimmick. Slipknot wears masks and AC/DC has a guy in a schoolboy uniform. Like that matters for one song. And then you start listening to the music. Is it good music or is bad music? And we realize, listen, we don't mind working hard and we don't mind blowing people's expectations out of the water, because we're playing great music. We're playing great rock and roll, and we have a great live stage show. We connect with our audience like no other. So that's something we always knew we had. And if we keep working on it, all the non-believers will turn into believers. And the people that still have a problem with our band because Chris Jericho is in the band, they're never going to be fans anyways. So we don't worry about them. Who cares? You worry about your fans and you worry about making new ones. The ones that hate you no matter what and will bury you on Blabbermouth, fine. Sorry. That's okay. You're not, the best bands are always very polarizing. So we have that with us. But the most important thing is we have a lot of momentum. And every night I ask people, how many people here are seeing Fozzy for the first time? And I swear it's 60 or 70 of the hands are coming up, and they know the words to the songs, and they know Judas, and they know Sane, and they know I Still Burn and Lights Go Out and all these other songs that we have. And, it's working. It's working. This army is growing, and it's growing for the right reasons.
I love it, man. And like you said there, your sixth consecutive top 25? Is that what that was? So you're doing something right. So keep it up. Well, I think you're doing something good there. So the new album Boombox, and you'll have to correct me because I have two conflicting sources. Was that out April 15th or it's coming out May 6th?
May 6th is when it was April 15th, but now it's May 6th.
May 6th.
So that's the official. So it's actually next week.
Mark it down, May 6th. That is when Boombox will be available, the latest album from Fozzy. And you mentioned the current single, I Still Burn, which is climbing up the charts, which I got to tell you is such a cool, unique sounding track. It's got that kind of clean, funky guitar riff, and then boom, hits you in the face when you get to the chorus, when you get to the I Still. What was there some kind of inspiration? Because you don't hear that kind of clean guitar into something heavy like that. It's an interesting mix, if you will.
Well, we started working with Johnny Andrews. He's our producer and he's a co-write songwriter with us. And he brought into this to Fozzy this really cool kind of, it's the triple hook. It's something that Def Leppard does, where you have, okay, that's the hook. Okay, no, that's the hook. No, well, that's the hook. And I think it started with Judas and Burn Me Out and Nowhere to Run, and Sane had it. This one has it really dynamically more than those other songs do. And I think Johnny wrote the lyrics for that one, but I'm the one who has to sing them. And they're very much inspired by my career. But it's not just my career. It's the story that we all have of this desire and this goal to succeed. And whatever that is, if you wanted to be a DJ or in a rock band, or you wanted to be in a rock band and a wrestler, or you wanted to be a pharmacist, I think everyone can relate to this song for that reason, and for a positive reason. Everyone can relate to Judas, which is why it was such a big hit, but those lyrics are a little bit more darker. Everyone I've ever loved, I've pushed them all the way. Everyone knows what it's like to just want to be on your own and making the wrong decision and betraying yourself and betraying the ones you love. I Still Burn is the opposite. Every time they think I'm at my end, I get up again. I still burn, and I got the passion and fire in my veins, and it never changes. And I think that's the reason why this song has potential to be the biggest Fozzy song, because of the dynamics of it that you mentioned and the lyrical content, which is very uplifting and inspiring rather than dark and dirty.
Like kind of more of a anthem, a call to arms.
Very much so. Yeah. Yes. And I think that's one of the themes of this record, indirectly, is the call to arms. And this was not written during the lockdown. We had these songs where we were actually calling the record Chinese Fozzocracy for the longest time, because we started it in May of 2019. We opened a stadium show for Iron Maiden in LA as a direct support. September of 2019, they invited us to support them on this show. So we wanted to have a single ready for it. So Nowhere to Run, which is on Boombox, was recorded in May of 2019. Here we are in May of 2022, and the record is just coming out. And that's because we had these songs ready. They've been done and mixed and mastered for a year, but they're so good, we didn't want to just release them into the wilderness. And there is a real call to arms theme to this record, which does fit where we're at in the world right now. We're back, baby. We're ready to rock and leave all the crap behind us. Still a little uncertain, but we're positive, and we're gonna make it happen and make it work together. And that's kind of the overall theme for the record that actually was written before the lockdown and pandemic, but timing-wise, it fits perfectly.
I think that's something that the world needs, and nothing better than to get it just fed right to us from Fozzy.
Absolutely.
Live shows coming, all that good stuff. People will get that fix hopefully this summer, as long as nothing else crazy happens. Fingers crossed at this point. Is there, we've talked about I Still Burn and just some of the other stuff. Is there a song on the album that maybe is one of your favorites, really speaks to you or really stands out? Like if someone said, hey, Chris, pick me one song off this album. Is there one on there? Maybe it is I Still Burn.
It's funny because like I said, this album has been ready for so long. We're actually doing 6 songs, or have done 6 songs from the record in our set, and the album still hasn't come out yet. But the good news is nobody's going to the bathroom or going to buy beer during these songs, because they're very great live songs. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you mentioned, I mean, Sane is the show opener. That one really grabs people. I love the dynamics of that. I Still Burn is so much fun to sing, and I think people are now just starting to realize that it's going to be the song of the set pretty soon. Mm-hmm. There's a song called Purifier on the record, though. It kind of has got a very heavy, almost like a modern day Looks That Kill, Motley Crue type vibe, with a great chorus. That one is my favorite in the set right now, because it's really fun to sing. There's some great vocal dynamics. We've got a lot of visuals behind us of like horror movie dynamics from movies and things along those lines with the production that we've put together for the song. So that's one of the highlights for me as well. But I like those 6 that we're playing live, but there's the other 6 that nobody's even heard yet that I think are almost as good, if not better, than the 6 we're playing. So it's kind of the tale of 2 cities for me. Here's the album that you know, and here's the album that you still haven't heard yet. So it's still worth going and checking out Boombox on May 6th, because there's still a lot of gems that you haven't been able to hear on YouTube yet.
Well, we are waited with bated breath. My God, May 6th can't get here soon enough. Well, again, Boombox, May 6th, the latest album from Fozzy. And as we are 8 albums in, creatively and what you guys want to do, I know when bands kind of start out there they're at the, I guess, at the mercy of what the record reps are telling them to do, the record label is. Do you guys kind of notice that freedom now when you're in there and being able to really put together that record that you've always wanted to as you continue to grow as a band?
Well, once again, kind of, we always do things backwards, and now we're on Sony Music, which obviously is as big as it gets. So in the earlier days, we kind of just did what we wanted because we didn't have a lot of input. We were on Megaforce and we were on Island Records and Century Media, but they kind of let us just do our thing. Sony's a little different. You know, you got to send them the ideas for the single, and the first couple songs we sent them, like, this is it. This is our number one. They're like, what else you got? We're like, what? But it's Sony, and they have a plan. And now the way that, and you know this, the way that records come out, like there's 3 top 10 singles from Boombox that have been released before the record even came out. It's a new way of doing things. Back in the day, you'd put the record out and the single would come out maybe a week before, and then you'd have a second single a month in, and then you'd have 6 months to promote your record, and then it's done. Now it's, here's a song. 6 months later, here's another song. 6 months later, here's the album. 6 months later, here's another song. So, those songs have been handpicked by Sony of the ones they liked best. And my point is, I don't mind having, you know, the suits have their input because they have a plan. And as long as whoever you're working with has a plan and a vision for the band, that's all I ask. Because it's great not to have to rely just on Rich and I's thoughts of what to do with Fozzy. It's great to know that now the head of Sony has some thoughts, and the head of, you know, the Orchard, the distribution, has some thoughts, and Mascot in Europe. You know, for the first time ever, Purifier is a single in Europe, and it's not a single here because they like the heavier tracks in Europe. But it's like, this is all great stuff because there's a plan and there's a vision for the band. And the overall plan is to get Fozzy to the next level, and then the next level after that. And I can't complain about that. So I have no problems letting those guys take control for what they do best.
Does that allow you to focus a little more then on just your stage show, and then kind of that stuff outside of all of the kind of ins and outs of the record?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a great business model now, Brock, where we don't have to open for anybody. You know, a lot of it, who would you love to open for? I'd love to open for AC/DC. Or, we did some shows with Nickelback that were great. I mean, all that stuff is awesome. But I like headlining our shows. We have great production. We have we can do whatever we want. You know what I mean? If you open for AC/DC and you want to take a CO2 gun and shoot the fog into the air and have, 10 TVs behind you showing horror movie images during Purifier, they're probably going to say, yeah, here's your 6-foot box standing. I mean, with Iron Maiden, we didn't get a drum riser. It's okay. It's Iron Maiden. We'll do it. Yep. But we like that. Our merchandise does well. Our VIPs is one of the best in the business, and people know it. So there's a great business model for us, both financially and creatively. So we like kind of calling our own shots in that respect. And we put a lot of time and effort into our production. And we'll continue to do that for as long as we can. Obviously, like I said, if the right offer came in to open for somebody and here's the chance of a lifetime, we'll take it. If not, we have no problems continuing on Fozzy with a great package of 2 up-and-coming bands. We have a band with us right now called GFM, 3 sisters who wear cheerleading outfits and zombie makeup, and they play great, and they look great, and they're 21 years old. I mean, that's great for our demographic and for their demographic to combine it. So all that stuff is just to say that Fozzy, we put on a great show from beginning to end all night long. We're very excited about it.
I love it, man. Well, we're going to see that very soon as the summer opens up, like we talked about, tours and all that good stuff to support the latest album, Boombox. The only thing I will have to say about the title of the album is, for the younger generations, we might have to explain to them what a boombox is. We could maybe say it's it's the old MP3 player. I guess that's what it would be. So,
well, that's the thing. We wanted to do an album title that was a little bit more reflective of our show, which is a very high energy, fun show. Do You Want to Start a War? Judas, Sin and Bones. Those are dark album titles. This one, we said, let's try boombox. It sounds like a party. It's fun. If you know what a boombox is, it brings back that imagery. If you don't, it's still curious. What is it? That sounds interesting. And in a lot of ways, Fozzy is the modern boombox. We provide the boom. The band as a collective is the box. It's a way of listening to music that makes you smile and makes you want to go to the beach and makes you want to ride my mom's stereo was broken. I used to have a boombox for the stereo in my mom's car when I was a teenager. So it's a good sounding, good, happy vibe, which provides what we do live, which is just a fun, energetic, great rock and roll show.
I love it. Layers on that, folks. It's not just a name.
That's right.
There's layers in that.
We're very layered people.
I love it. Well, again, I've said it once. I said it 1,000 times. May 6th, the Boombox. It is coming out. The latest album from Fozzy. It's going to blow your mind. Chris, before you go, can we do rapid fire real quick?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So this is rapid fire with Chris Jericho. There's no wrong answers. You just go with what's in your heart. Okay, Chris?
Got it.
Let's start with something easy. Camel clutch or German suplex?
German suplex.
Chili dog or corn dog?
I go chili dog.
All right. More drums or more bass?
More bass. I'm a bass player.
Disco or techno?
Disco by far.
I could see you doing some disco. I can see you breaking.
Disco had great players in the bands too. That's one of the reasons why. Yeah.
True. Would you rather see Bigfoot or El Chupacabra?
Bigfoot.
Lastly, 1 chest slap from Andre the Giant or 100 chest slaps from the Where's the Beef lady?
She'd probably have a heart attack and die after 20. So I'd take hers. Have you seen the size of Andre's hands?
It's insane.
It's big as our head. It would cave your chest in. So I'll take a Clara Peller chop any day.
That's the quote of the year right there. Right there. We got it. We'll call it.
You never thought you'd hear a Clara Peller mentioned on the Chris Jericho interview.
That's unbelievable. You heard it here, folks. Awesome. Well, thank you for humoring me. And it's always great catching up with you, Chris. Super excited for you guys. Again, May 6th. Boombox, it's out. Fozzy gonna bring it to you. The latest single, I Still Burn, out there rocking the airwaves. So make sure you keep your ears peeled and then get that new record, Boombox, on May 6th. All right, brother, I'll let you get back to it. And thanks again for the time, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And we're looking forward to coming back to Madison and the Sonic Boom, right? No, what's the festival in Madison?
We did Sonic Boom, and then we kind of had to rework it.
Yeah, we did in the middle of the city the last time in the town square. We did it last time.
Oh, that was Taste of Madison. I think you were.
There you go, a Taste of Madison.
Yeah, we'll get
and a taste of Fozzy and a taste of a chili dog. There you go. Thanks, man.
All right, brother. We'll see you.
Cheers.